Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast, where we dive deep into topics surrounding kindness, compassion, and creating a more humane world, whether it's in our communities, in the workplace, or in the world of animal control and shelters. With our hosts,
Ashley Bishop.
And Ashley Bishop.
And I'm Daniel Ettinger. This show is sponsored by Tomahawk Live Trap. Check them out, livetrap.com.
Look at that.
I figured it out. It's Bishop and I. It's just one Bishop and one me today.
There's only been one you. There's only ever going to be one you.
Do you think though? I mean, there is. If you Google Daniel Ettinger, there is a orchestra. I think he's like a philharmonic. I don't know, but he's like into like that kind of stuff. So maybe he could come on the show with us one day.
You know what? First, we need to have like, share, and rate us.
She needs to be on the show.
Yep.
For those of you listening, please check out our Facebook page and our Instagram page and our TikTok because it's back online and our YouTube channel. Keep It Humane. That's right. Keep It Humane. Please like, share, rate us. That really helps. Like if you haven't liked, shared, or rated the podcast, please do it because it puts us up in the charts and then people listen to it more and then we can tell people more about how great work that we do and that we're not just a dog pound and the dog catcher. Can I just tell you something right off the bat?
You can.
Before we get into some of the real stuff, I was teaching a class today, and one of my students, this is a cool class, by the way. This was a class that I do for basically mental health practitioners. Is that what you'd call them? Practitioners? That sounds so formal.
Yeah. I mean,
Sounds so
yeah.
formal. Sounds so formal. And the first question, so I always do this thing with the opening of any class that I do. I just do random ask questions just to like get the juices flowing so people like participate in class, right? What do you think the first thing someone asked me was today?
If you kill every animal you have.
You're pretty close. They said, are there any no kill shelters left in America? Is what the question was. And I said, well, that's wonderful you asked because they don't have any general knowledge of our profession. We're talking about
Right.
licensed clinical social workers. We're talking about people that have a general concept of life and consciousness and behavior, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not in our industry. And you probably are asking, well, then why are you teaching them? And so the class specifically is about the link between interpersonal violence and cruelty and neglect to animals. So that was the first question. And it was such a great question because I was able to answer it and really talk about the difference between open admission versus limited admission. And, I would, I didn't go too far into it, but just again, that terminology pops up in places where it's, it's everywhere, whether it's in the work that we do. And we're going to talk about do you bring your work home here in a little bit, as Ashley and I both do a podcast about work on our days off. But that's fine. That's fine. So we'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, I just want to make sure we mention our awesome show sponsor. That is Tomahawk Live Trap. Yep, Tomahawk Live Trap. They're celebrating their 100th, I can't even talk today, 100th year in
Today.
business ever. Uh, they are a family owned and operated business who work with humane professionals around the world to produce the safest and most effective animal handling equipment available. You can save 10% on their products by using discount code Keep It Humane. That's discount code Keep It Humane in all caps, no spacing. You can visit them online at livetrap.com or call 800-272-8727. They're awesome. They
They
really
are
are.
awesome.
Now for some not so awesome stuff. And you might be wondering why the other Ashley Bishop, Texas Bishop, is not here. She unfortunately had to put, and if you've listened to any of the shows over the past several weeks, maybe even month or two,
Or watched them.
watch them on YouTube. She had to put Rue down, and that's a hard thing to do. And our hearts go out to her. And I know that she's if you know her and maybe can send some condolences her way, I'm sure it would go a long way. So please reach out, send your best. That's hard. Any of us, no matter how long we've been in this industry and worked with animals and been on the other side of the euthanasia in the aspects of like having to put an animal down. It's doesn't make it easier when it's yours.
No, it doesn't make it easier. And Rue was her heart dog. You know, that was we all have at least one that is a little bit more sentimental. And if you go back and watch any of the videos where you see her picking up a dog, it's always Rue. He's always cuddling with her on the
He
videos.
always was.
So,
It's tough, tough
yeah.
stuff. So we're sending our best and our love to Texas Bishop right now, and we know how much he meant to her. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
How are things in up in cold Wisconsin?
Cold, sick of dogs with cones.
Mm. Yeah, you have a. It's literally you could use him as a snowplow, Rex.
Yeah.
You could just let him outside with that cone on, and he could just shovel snow, push it out of the way with his big old face.
That would be great, except his paws get too cold because he's a pity thing and he's sensitive. So that
That's not
doesn't work
happening.
as well.
That's
But
not happening.
yeah, my 80-pound meat missile of a cone head currently.
80-pound meat missile cone head,
Hmm.
also known as Rex. Also
Yes.
known as Rex. Well, this is a this show. We really try to bring a balance of our views, what's out there in the media, and we take it with a grain of salt. And so I'm going to share with you a story that I came across regarding, do you take your work home? Is that something that's, and I'll be honest, and we can talk a little bit about it after I read this article from News for Jacks. That's News for Jacksonville News, news4jacks.com. And it's talking about dog potentially injured in clash with off-duty animal control officer. So we'll get into that here in a second. But how do you not take your work home? It can be difficult, and try to find that balance, that work-life balance that we often talk about. Have you ever in your, well, you know what? Let's read this and then we'll talk about if you've ever off duty had done something work related.
Sure.
Cool, cool.
Hmm.
All right, again, that's news4jacks.com, news4jacks.com. And we'll just start. This was on November 4th of 2024, so it's not too far back. Jacksonville, Florida. If you've ever been, I've been. It's an interesting city. It's actually the largest city per square mileage in the country. Isn't that wild? Yeah.
The more you
The,
know.
the more you know. All right. What began as a routine outing for Luna, a 5-year-old pit bull, and her owner, Robert, I'm not even going to try to say his last name, turned into an unexpected event that turned into a physical confrontation with an off duty animal control officer. The incident, which happened Friday at a vacant grassy field near Cecil Field Golf Course on Jacksonville's west side, caused people to fume on social media. And I'm kind of surprised that we're just finding about this now, to be honest.
Yeah.
The dog owner said he and his nephew stopped at a grassy area on the way to the golf course to give Luna some exercise. He told News for Jax that it was a routine stop for Luna, as he's always felt comfortable letting the pit bull mix walk off leash because the location was far away from the general public and typically devoid of people. The dog owner said everything was quiet and calm until an unknown woman drove up, parked in the middle of the roadway, and began harassing him and his dog. So he and I quote, some random lady pulls up in her car, gets out of the vehicle, and tells me to put my dog on a fucking leash, the owner said. He said he didn't know who the woman was. And the situation turned even more hostile after she left her parked car in the middle of the roadway and started walking towards Luna. The lady immediately grabs Luna by her collar and lifts her up to the point where her hind legs are out in front of her, the dog owner said. At this point, Luna is whining and she's uncomfortable and scared. He went on to say he tried to grab his dog from the woman, but she grabbed his hand, told him she was with Animal Protective Control, and then demanded to see his identification. I think that's a little backwards. She should have first shown me verification of who she was and her title with Animal Care and Control Protective Services, said the dog owner. He and the woman, who was dressed in all black during the altercation, proceeded to get into a tussle over Luna before he was finally able to grab Luna and take her away. At that time, the dog owner says he thought the woman was just trying to steal Luna under the guise of being an animal control officer. I mean, people do think we steal dogs.
I mean, don't we?
She's telling me she's going to call JSO, which is Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, on me. I'm not sure what I did wrong at the moment, said the owner. After retrieving Luna, the owner's nephew took out his cell phone and started recording the woman as she was following them in the car. In the video, the woman is seen wearing an all black animal control uniform, but her hair covers the City of Jacksonville symbol on her shirt. Her car was her personal vehicle, not an animal control van, and she appeared to be trying to record the owner's license plate. I could not identify anything about her. I did not see a badge. I did not see anything. All I saw was a lady dressed in black cargo pants, a black shirt, who was really quick to come over, said the dog owner. The woman left her vehicle in the street, which blocked traffic, making it hard for others to get around. A screenshot of the video was posted on social media showing a woman dressed in black with long, blonde hair. A former Jacksonville Animal Control officer saw the picture and identified the woman as Animal Control Officer Sarah, badge number 305. And again, this is tough because we're all, we feel for these officers and there's two sides of the story, but we're just reading this from newsforjacks.com. This is their side. The animal control officer is the same animal control officer who prevented News for Jacks from recording a video of a public street while animal control officers removed about 130 chihuahuas from bad living
Good
conditions.
grief.
On Saturday, the dog owner's wife, Luna's official owner, showed up at the Animal Care and Protective Services office to confirm that the animal control officer does work there before calling the police department to file a complaint. News for Jacks learned that multiple officers arrived at the animal control office to investigate the matter. Although Luna appeared fine when News for Jack spoke with the dog owner and his wife, the dog's neck may have been injured because of the altercation. That night, following the incident, Luna was constantly hacking, said the dog owner. It was 30 seconds of that lady arguing with me while holding my dog the entire time. News for Jack's crime and safety analyst, Tom Hackney, a retired JSO director, weighed in on the incident. This seems very far outside the scope of her authority, especially when off duty, in a personal vehicle, and not identifying themselves, said Hackney. This is a recipe for disaster. He continued, here is someone who stopped a car on a road, got out, approached, and is demanding to take your dog, putting their hands on you. It's going to be human nature to ask who you are and what are you doing. Hackney said an off duty animal control officer does not have the authority to demand that dog owners show identification, especially if animal control does not first show his or her credentials to prove they are actually an officer. Animal Control Officer Chief Michael Bricker, Officer Duran's boss, said because Officer Duran is a city employee, she cannot speak on camera and explain her side of the story. But she can come on the Keep It Humane podcast if she wants to. I doubt that she can do that, though.
Probably not.
Bricker says Duran's version of the event starkly contrasts with the versions told by Luna's owner. She saw a dog running close to the road. She said she beeped for the person's attention. She said there were two males by the Tesla. She beeped for their attention and they didn't respond or grab the dog. So as she got closer, she knew there were other cars behind her. So to stop this dog from running in the road, she stopped her vehicle and got out of the car. As soon as she got out of the car, the dog ran into the road to her. That's when she grabbed the dog by the collar. When she grabbed the dog, a gentleman ran up, grabbed her by the wrist, removed her hand, and grabbed the dog by the collar with such force that the collar came off of the dog. The chief added that it didn't matter if Luna was close to the road or far away from it because it was still an off-leash dog, which is illegal. The dog owner admits that he was wrong for having Luna off leash, even though she was off leash in an area secluded from human foot traffic and nowhere near homes or a public park. Not that that makes it any better.
Illegal is illegal.
Illegal is illegal. The dog owner in Hackney said The situation could have been handled much differently. She could have said, "Hey, I'm letting you know I'm currently off duty, but you could be fined for walking your dog off leash. And dogs need to be on leash for their protection and other people's protection," Hackney said. "But when you attempt to physically take a dog and put your hands on the owner, that's way off base," he added. The dog owner's wife told News for Jax she contacted an attorney to discuss potentially taking the matter into civil court and said she is making arrangements through her lawyer to speak with the state's attorney about filing criminal charges against the officer. According to Hackney, Duran could still face attempt of theft charges because she did not have the authority of an off duty capacity. He also said she and the city of Jacksonville could be liable for any injuries to Luna. And Officer Doran returned to work on Monday. Whew, that's tough. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I uh I I don't know. I don't know. I get it. Like if the dog was truly about to run out in the road and you're just trying to help keep it, and there's always going to be two sides to the story. It's tough. What is your take on that?
I towards the end there, I really kind of get the feeling that the dog owners may genuinely have been exaggerating some.
Mhm.
Um, I want to lean towards the fact that the ACO is doing what was she thought was in the dog's best interest at the time.
Mhm.
Um, and like we said, illegal is illegal. However, um, making sure she identified herself, you know, um, as far as the vehicle, and I know of plenty of ACOs that don't even have a uniform, let alone a patch, and do use their own personal vehicle. Um, all it takes is some verbal communication, right?
Sure, sure.
Um, Granted, I've had people, our community service officers, show up at people's houses and people not believe that they are who they are. So really, to some people, that won't matter either way.
And I always want to take the side of our team, like our officers. And, there are moments where things are going to get heated and, things can get embellished. I
And I
just
think every single one of us can also say that we have all had times where we look back and go, yeah, I probably could have handled that different.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I mean. Like, do you take your work home with you? And in that aspect, if I see a dog at large, even off duty, I try to get it. Like that's just my nature. And I think you'd probably do the same.
So trying to catch one off at large, yes. Dogs I have. However, one thing that, you know, if I see somebody walking with their dog, especially if it actually is appearing to be well behaved or whatever, I actually would make a point to not do anything. Um, and it would be funny because I'd be walking with my kids and my
Hmm.
kids know the law and they'd be like, "Mom, aren't you going to do something?"
Hmm.
And I actually would say to them, "No, I don't have my badge with me. I have no identification to prove who I am. So, no, I'm not going to approach these people because they're walking their dog off leash. We're just going to be mindful for our own safety." Um, but again, a dog, running off leash without anybody around or, causing a traffic jam or a traffic hazard. Yeah, absolutely. I have done that. Um, I have also, I've had a couple of people that I have seen them walk their dog off leash. And so, sometimes it wasn't always a immediate citation necessarily, but if I saw them walking their dog off leash while I was off duty and then I saw it while I was on duty, oh yeah, you're absolutely getting your citation because I know that this is not a first time offense for you.
Yeah, and you have that benefit being in a small town too, of knowing
Yeah.
some of those people. I will say, This job, the longer you do it, the more it becomes part of your identity. There's no doubt about that.
Hmm.
And in the instances where I'll do something off duty, look, dog in a hot car, I'm going to handle it
Oh yeah.
as an expert witness on the scene. Like I'm not going in the vehicle unless I absolutely have to. I'll wait for that either ACO to show up or a police officer to show up. And I may or may not tell them what I do. It depends on
Right.
how far along we are in the situation and what happened with the dog or that type of situation. And same goes for like if you witness abuse, like somebody kicking, punching, beating a dog, and you're a witness to that, you're going to be an expert witness. Like you
Hmm.
have that skill and knowledge to really be part of that. I did,
I
I did the other day. I was on a run, I'm running, and there's a dog on leash. Dog was on leash. Everything was good, but I could tell something was going on by like the guy was walking, holding the leash, and the dog was just like fixated on something, and you could tell the guy was trying to like get the dog to come, but the dog wouldn't come. And it's just going at it's like it sees this possum that just wants to like just go at the possum. And I literally full running motion, run over, yoink up the possum, and then place it on the other side of a wall and just keep it moving. I didn't even tell the guy that I would what I did. He was like, "Thank you," and I was like, "You're welcome," as I
Nice.
ran away. But like, it's hard, and I think it, I don't know. I want to reserve judgment because I don't think it's fair in this aspect. I just want to say like how important it is in the hard work that we all do in whatever capacity that you do it. Try to give yourself that break if you can.
Do do.
I mean, that's your email address, not mine.
No, it's poo poo. It's poo poo.
Same thing. It's
No, it isn't.
literally
One means
exactly the
baby
same.
doll.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
However,
Mhm.
to bring this back to a conversation we had just last week, you know, a lot of this is about the types of communication and how things are being presented. So check out last week's episode with Hannah about, how to talk to your community and how the media is playing an effect on how we're being perceived.
Absolutely. Yeah, that doesn't do any good for the media seeing an off-duty ACO. Right. It just further alongs that animal control dog catcher perspective.
Right.
Totally. Well, yeah, I I think there's a time and place for some of it, and we just have to be mindful of who we are, what we do. I've had this conversation. An off-duty cop, it's different in their city or their state because of them being post-certified. There is a I actually uh how do I say I was going to say dated, but I didn't date her.
You were seeing.
That yeah, maybe a police officer that was telling like while they were going through the academy, they were telling me how they're told like they're required to carry their firearm on them even when they're off duty. This was in Colorado.
Hmm.
And the only times they wouldn't carry it is if like they are going to the bar for a drink or something like that where they would be intoxicated. And I thought that was interesting. And I was like, well, what happens if you go to like a basketball game and you got to go through the metal detectors? And I guess they have to like show their
They have to
because
carry the badge all the time when they do it.
exactly. So they have to show that to the head security person, and then they get cleared. So just a side note. But animal control, it's like, nah, we don't get that privilege. We ain't doing that.
But oh, I mean, that's similar to like an EMT and stuff, though, too. Like if they come across an accident and they find out that they didn't stop, even though
Ooh.
they're off duty, they can get in trouble for that.
Do you know how many accidents I've stopped at? I hate it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I hate it. I hate it. I feel bad. It's always tough doing those things. Well, that's all we got today. Short, sweet. We appreciate everybody listening. Remember to check out our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all the grams, all those things,
All the socials,
all those, yeah, all the socials. Please
all the
like,
dot
share,
coms.
rate the podcast. Tune in next week for an Ashley and Ashley episode. It'll be just the two of you, just the two of you. You
Really, we're
can
just
make it
one.
if you. I guess so. I guess so.
I
Well,
mean, have you met us? We really just won.
That's true. Well, thanks for listening.
Help people.
Help animals. Keep it
Keep
humane.
it humane.